if you are potentially thinking of moving to Bali in 2023 and or remote working from there, then this video is for you.
We're going to give you the pros and cons of living there, as well as the reason why we haven't fully moved to Bali yet. We've lived in Bali on and off now for more than 2 years, so it's pretty safe to say we have a generally good idea of what it's like to live there on a more permanent basis.
Let's start with our first and biggest pro of living in Bali. And that is safety. We grew up in South Africa, so we're constantly on edge, worried about our safety, our belongings, our cars, our properties, etc. And Bali is honestly the safest place we've ever been to. We've never felt unsafe or uncomfortable or anything, and especially as a woman, I was able to go out and do my own thing and feel totally comfortable. I'm a little more hesitant to do that here in South Africa. In Bali, I would hop onto the bike and go out and carry my laptop and my computers and have my ring and all sorts of stuff on me, and I still felt safe. And that's because the local people are just so helpful, friendly, and they would never do anything to make me feel unsafe or uncomfortable. Next up is our first and biggest con for sure, and that is visas.
Visas are so expensive and very tedious.
There are no free visas like there are in Malaysia and Singapore and Mexico and other places we've traveled to on our British and Irish and South African passports. There are 3 types of visas in Bali, and they're all expensive in some kind of way. Let me explain. First up, the tourist visa. It's about 500k when you land at the airport. It seems pretty cheap and straightforward and easy to get. That lasts you for 30 days, and then if you want to extend that for another 30 days, you have to go to immigration, do your fingerprints, pictures, and all sorts of stuff to extend it for a further 30 days. And then if you want to extend it even further, you have to leave the country, do an expensive visa run, which can cost you around $350 now, and come back in and do the process over and over again if you want. The second option is the B211 visa, and that is basically like a business visa. It lasts you 6 months. It's around 5 million, and that's for the first 2 months, and then you have to extend it every month for like 850k. It's expensive, and you can't leave the country on the B211 and come back in. It will expire as soon as you get out. And the third and final option is the work permit, known as the kitas, and that is 1 year or 2 years. You can get 2 different ones, and they're about 20 to 30 million a year. So they're quite expensive, but you can leave the country and come back in, and you can work legally in Indonesia and own a business and all sorts of stuff. But all 3 of those end up to be quite expensive at the end of the day, because you're either doing a visa run or you're paying for the expensive visa. So yeah, visas are not great.
Alright, now let's talk about our next pro. That is the people. We've traveled to a lot of places now, and we can definitely say without a doubt that the people in Bali are some of the nicest. They are always smiling, they are always happy to help. They just have such a good mood, and it really impacts your overall mood when you're in Bali. The people are definitely one of the reasons why we keep on coming back to Indonesia and Bali specifically. We just miss the people, we miss our friends, we just miss all the good vibes.
Next up, another con is that Bali is not walkable.
If you are thinking about editing your own videos or vlogs, then you're in luck. Today's video sponsor is Wondershare Filmora, a popular and easy to use editing software. Wondershare Filmora have officially released their 12th version, and it brings some amazing new features. If you don't know what Filmora is, it's a cross-platform for making videos anywhere for all creators. In fact, today's video was edited using the software, and I must say, it was a breeze to edit this vlog in. One of my favorite features has to be this new AI Smart Cutout tool. It's something you usually find in Photoshop, and you can use it on still images, but to find it in a video editor is absolutely incredible. I can now outline ourselves in this image and completely replace the background if I wanted to. All of a sudden, we're in Bali. It's awesome. Another tool Filmora have added is the adjustment layer. It's something I cannot edit without. It is such an easy way to add color correction to all of the clips underneath the adjustment layer. So if you want to adjust exposure and contrast, you just simply apply the changes to the layer, and that will apply the changes to all of the footage underneath it. This is a tool you usually find in a more expensive editing software, so I'm very happy to see it here in Wondershare Filmora. Now for what is definitely one of my most favorite features that's come to Filmora 12, and that is the AI audio stretch. It is absolutely amazing. You can now extend and match your audio to any duration you want. I often find myself manually cutting audio to match it to the footage. To now have this feature saves so much time and produces a much better result. So if you are interested in Wondershare Filmora, head to the link in the description to try it out for free.
The sidewalks are extremely treacherous and dangerous. There's scooters that drive on there, there's parked bikes, dogs, all sorts of stuff. And there was even a woman that posted in the Bali expats group that she broke her foot while walking on the sidewalks. That's how dangerous they are. You're more inclined to just hop on the scooter and drive for 500 meters than actually walk it. That's how unwalkable Bali is. It's super crowded and busy, and if you're having a bad day and you just want to go for a walk and just clear your mind, it's more stressful than just staying at home. I don't know, it's not that walkable, guys. And a lot of people don't talk about this either, so yeah, be warned if you want to walk around Bali. Oh my goodness gracious, we're back in Cape Town, our home city, back in South Africa. Yeah, it feels good. If you're wondering why we actually left Bali and came here to Cape Town, then watch our previous video, the rainy season video.
Let's talk about our next pro, which is the transportation and convenience of living in Bali. Everything is just so easy and convenient. If you're sick in bed, simply go on Gojek, call up some guy and he'll bring you some medicine. If you want to buy a new PlayStation, call a dude on WhatsApp, say you want a PlayStation, and he'll literally just Gojek it to you. It is so easy, and that goes for food, transportation, delivery of meals, just everything is so easy. The same goes for if you want to just pop down the road to your favorite restaurant. It's very easy, and the best perk for us and convenience is the laundry. You don't need to do your laundry yourself. You just drive along, find a little laundromat and drop it off and get it done for literally 20 to 30,000 rupiah. It is super affordable and super convenient.
Next con is that there is a serious lack of open, natural, quiet spaces. Yes, there are rice fields everywhere where you can just walk and be quiet and hear the birds and stuff, but you can't just go and sit there and relax and, I don't know, have a picnic or be there with someone. You can't really sit in rice fields. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they're like muddy paths in between plantations. You can't, you know, they're not just open grass areas.
They're also very hot and humid.
There's no parks, there's no hikes like the one we're on, there's no open spaces. Even if you go to the beach, you're never alone. You're basically always around tourists or other expats or something like that. You can go to the north like Munduk and Sidemen and stuff, and that's a lot more peaceful and quiet, but in your daily normal living,
if you base yourself in Seminyak, Kuta, Canggu, Denpasar, you have to drive very far to get to these quiet places. It's not like conveniently on your doorstep. Like if you live in New York City, you walk a couple blocks and you're in this beautiful central park. You don't have that in Bali.
Also remember, Bali is a small island with a big population and lots of tourists, so obviously there's very few places that you're actually quiet and alone and just not around people, I guess.
So if you're a nature lover and you want to get out on a trail and do a little bit of walking and literally be the only person on that trail,
like we are now,
Bali is definitely not the place to be. It's also very difficult if you want to get out and just run around the block. Good luck. It's really challenging. Just like we said about the pavements, it's also another problem if you want to get out and do some exercise. There's very few places to actually get going and do a bit of running.
There's also no promenades like there are in a lot of places we've been to where you can just run or walk and look at the ocean. You can go to the one in Sanur, But it's a teeny tiny little walking path like this.
Alright, our next absolute pro about Bali is the networking. There are so many like-minded people there for us in Bali. So many content creators, fellow digital nomads, fellow self-employed people. Yeah, lots of people there that are like-minded. The con of this though is that people are very transient. They're constantly coming and going out of your life. You find it a very difficult time to make friends. Just like ourselves, we've literally just left Bali. We were only there for 2 or 3 months and now we're on our way again and we don't know when we'll go back.
Next up, another pro is that there are so many accommodation options and short-term rental options. All sorts of guest houses, co-living and co-working spaces you can stay at. There's no need to sign leases. You just come and go as you please. You stay a week, a month, 3 months, a year in a place. It's totally up to you and super flexible because of the sheer amount of digital nomads and expats coming in and out. Whereas here in Cape Town, to try and find a co-living or a short-term rental or lease is actually very hard. And you have to go to places like Airbnb to get a long, like a month stay or whatever. It's not as easy as it is in Bali. Bali also has some of the most incredible co-living and co-working spaces in the world. It's actually world-renowned. You can go to places like Thailand, but you won't find the same kind of quality of accommodation as you can in Bali. I'm out of breath, guys. This hike is taking it out of me. But oh gosh, the views are just ridiculous. Look behind me. Also, there's so many mansions next to us. I think our president lives somewhere here or something.
One of the cons to all of this accommodation and people coming and going is that it can be extremely expensive, especially during the busy times. You can basically get your short-term accommodation locked in for, let's say, 5 million IDR a month, and then 2 months later your owner tells you that they're putting up the price, they're doubling it, or that they want to charge by day. So you could end up having to move, and it's really a bit of an inconvenience. Our perfect example of this is our old homestay Omrich, where we used to pay 5 million IDR. We tried to get a room there. Not only is it fully booked, but the price is now 10 million IDR. Similarly, we went to visit a place that we heard the price was 12 million IDR, and when we showed up there to have a look around, they quoted us 21 million to stay there next year in 2023. Pretty crazy.
Next up is another pro, and that is that there is tons to do in Bali. I'm about to fall. You can check out our top 50 things to do in Bali. I'll link it above, and that covers everything. There's so much to do during the day, in the evening, all sorts. Yeah, guys, I can't do this. I'm going to die.
Alright, the next con, and this for me is quite a big one. It doesn't affect Claire as much, but it's the time difference. GMT +8, that's what Bali is. It's about 6 hours ahead of our family back in South Africa. It's 12 hours ahead of your family if you have family in America. About the same time zone as Australia, but it's very difficult if you're into watching live sports or you have friends you want to communicate with back home. You're going to find yourself waking up in the weird early hours of the morning if you want to watch the English Premier League like I do. It gets you over a long period of time. And if you plan to work remotely, this can also be a big challenge. You might have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning just to work a normal shift back in the US. So consider that if you do want to move to Bali, that your working hours are definitely going to have to change.
Next up is day-to-day medical. Things like dentists and pharmacies and little clinics and all sorts are pretty good and affordable. We were very chuffed with them. But then with that comes a con, and that is if it's a life or death situation and you have to actually call emergency services, there is a bit of a language barrier, and we had to do it once. We had to call an ambulance, and it was one of the most stressful evenings of our lives. Also, we've heard that like if you've got a serious injury or illness, they generally have to fly you out to Singapore or Kuala Lumpur because they can't treat you. So day-to-day small little medical things are okay and affordable, and good quality, but then when you need like a life or death, some serious injury or illness, then I don't know, it's not up to international standards or Singaporean standards. So take that into account if you are maybe a retiree and thinking of retiring in Bali and you've got a chronic disease. It can be a little stressful for you. I would reconsider, probably.
And to add to that, we always recommend you get travel insurance with a medical attached to that, so that if you have any problems, you can just pay a small deductible up to about, I think, $250, and our medical that we have, Safety Wing, covers us up to $250,000 for any medical related expenses that we might incur while we're on the road.
I need a break. Let's sit down.
This is Sea Point, Cape Town, and we're currently like in the area of Fresnay. Very beautiful views from here. You can see the mountains in the distance, some cargo ships, and that is Robben Island. If you don't know, that's where President Nelson Mandela was imprisoned. That is where we are right now.
Chap houses mentioned here with the G-Wagon and the Porsche Cayenne though.
Yeah, it's amazing. One day.
Next up, another pro is that if you get a Kitas and do it legally, there are so many opportunities in Bali for business, for building villas and rentals. And if you're a creator, there's lots of videography opportunities and photography gigs, and you know, you can have your own fashion brand and all sorts. It's pretty easy, and yeah, lots of opportunities in that field. If you are someone like a teacher or something, then it's more difficult to get a job there. Like the traditional job is hard because they preference Indonesians obviously for those jobs. I don't blame them there at all, but internationally owned or run businesses are cool. Good. A lot of our friends are building villas and renting them out or staying in them, so there's a lot of opportunity there. But here's the con. You can never actually own that land or that property. It's never yours. You are just leasing it from a local Indonesian for about 25 to, 100 years, depending on what your lease is. If one day the local owner of the land or the property says, okay, I want my property back, they can do that after your 25-year lease. So there's a lot of people, you'll see them all over Instagram and YouTube. They're building villas, these stunning houses, like, wow, I built my dream villa. It is kind of risky because it isn't their owned villa. Their name is not on that property.
Yeah, this is one of my biggest things, is I don't want to build a house and have this property there that I can't leave for my family. Like eventually that land is going to go back to the Indonesian people. So you can't build a place and kind of leave a legacy in Bali. It's a little tricky.
Yeah, but the villas are so nice, chap, but I want to still build my own. If you have plenty of money, this won't stress you out, because eventually you'll just move on to the next property. But if you have one and only one property that you're ever going to invest in, then yeah, be careful.
The next pro is you're in the tropics and it is brilliant weather most of the year round. It's warm water, nice for surfing. It's very, very good. The con though for that is during the wet season, which we spoke about in our previous video, it can get extremely humid, unbearable to an extent. But like I said, you're in the tropics, so you kind of have to expect that kind of weather.
Next up is location. It's a pro. Island hopping is so easy and affordable, and it's beautiful. There are stunning neighboring islands like Nusa Lembongan. Absolutely love that. Go check out our video. I'll put it above here as well. But it's also in a really good location for you to explore the rest of Indonesia, as well as neighboring countries like Thailand, etc.
With all the travel around Asia though, a con for me now, especially in 2022 and maybe going forwards into 2023, is the expense. It is now quite expensive to fly around Asia, almost on par with Europe and back here in South Africa. Flights used to be like $30 or $40. They are now like $100, $150, $200. So definitely a bit of a con for me. Traveling around Asia has become expensive, which is one of the small reasons why we've come home.
It's very sad though, because we used to love traveling around Southeast Asia because of the affordability, because we know here in Africa it's expensive to travel around our own continent, whereas in Asia it was a lot more affordable. But yeah, prices have definitely gone up, and I think prices in general, I don't know if this is actually a con to Bali specifically, but prices in general to hop around are expensive in the world. I'm sure it'll get better in the new year though.
Let's hope.
You got me shaking, yeah, I feel the fever coming on. Boy, you know you're all I want. Keep saying that I hate it, but it's kind of fun.
While we head back, let's cover our next pro, and that is the availability of amazing fitness options. There are gyms, yoga studios, dance studios, CrossFit boxes, Fit 45, the list goes on. There are tons of things to do if that's what you like. The other con to that though is that the fitness food related stuff, your whey proteins, your healthy food and fruit and vegetables, can be very expensive if you're spending your time shopping at, let's say, Pepito Market, for example. Coupled with that, eating out at, say, Superfoods or Motion Cafe, where you're going to get special, like, healthy food, is very, very expensive. You're going to easily pay 100k per meal there, which is quite pricey. One tip that I can give you if you do want to save on food is to possibly look at hiring a local chef who will do your shopping for you, cook your meals for you. A couple of our friends do this and you end up saving quite a bit of money.
I tried to shake it, find a way to get you off my mind.
Hey, so good to be back in Mama.
Clary's turn to drive Mamba. If you haven't seen Mamba, you can go check our videos. I'll link them up here. When we got Mamba 1 year ago, I'm definitely keen to make more Mamba footage. So if you are interested in seeing Mamba footage, just comment Mamba down below.
Running away and jumping the gun to play it safe.
I won't lie, guys, it's quite a scorcher in Cape Town today. I think it's like 28 degrees. Well, it feels like it's 30 something. It's hot. It's nice. It's summer. Yeet.
For those that don't know, this is what the suburbs in South Africa look like. We have very, very big walls, and all the houses usually have electric fencing because we have to be safe and keep burglars out. Alright, our next pro is going to be the network. That is more specifically the cell phone network. It is super reliable and very affordable. You can get 4G data for like 100k. It's very cheap, and I think you get like 16 gigabytes for that 100k, which is really, really affordable compared to here, which is, I think we get maybe 2 gigabytes for that amount of money. So
150 rand.
yeah, it's literally
it's
multitudes more affordable.
Yeah.
The con though is that during rainy season we found it to be a little bit unpredictable, meaning it goes off when it rains. Strange one, but yeah, that happens. Now, talking about the fiber network, we've noticed the same problem there. As soon as it rains, we have outages. It's a little annoying, but it usually gets fixed between, I guess, 2 to 3 hours.
Eee, here's my favorite drive ever. Oh my gosh, look at the views. Look at the views. You're joking.
It's our first cloudy day in about 3 weeks, but it's a good change. It's nice to have a little cloud here and there. Let's talk about another con related to the technology stuff. That is getting your technology stuff in Bali. It can be quite tricky. That's because Bali doesn't have access to the latest technology that comes out. For example, newest iPhone, you'll expect to wait at least 6 months to even 12 months to get that latest iPhone in Bali. That goes for hard drives, laptops, etc, etc. You'll generally find you'll be needing to fly to Kuala Lumpur or Singapore if you want to get some of your latest technology. Wow, look at that. That is Clifton Fourth Beach. Amazing. Even on a cloudy day, beaches still look so beautiful.
Another pro about living in Bali is the growth and perspective that you gain while living there. There are people from all around the world. You've got the local Indonesians with their cultures and norms, and just you learn so much about the world and different perspectives while being surrounded by different people. It's awesome. You grow so much as a human, and we would highly, highly recommend that you go there and live abroad in Bali, because you've got the Western comforts on one side, but you've also got such a different culture and country that you're living in. It's amazing. It gets you out of your bubble of your home country and into the world, and you just do it, you know?
Now the next con of living in Bali. Outdoor living. For me, this is a big con. A lot of the houses are built in such a way that the living areas and the kitchen are generally outdoors. So, for example, our homestay, our kitchen was outdoors, and we didn't have a living area, so we had to sit at the pool. But in our villa also, sometimes that's outdoors. So what you find is you come home and you want to cook a nice meal, but you're actually in the outdoor living area and it's boiling hot, it's humid, it's really not the best environment to go and cook a nice dinner. It's not the best environment to sit down and watch Netflix. You'll generally just be very hot and uncomfortable, and you will probably get eaten by mosquitoes.
There definitely are villas with closed-in, air-conditioned living rooms, so you just have to search for them. And finally, our last pro of living in Bali is that there are so many Western amenities. So you don't get homesick often. You've got lots of Western food options and cafes and cuisines, all sorts of cuisines from all over the world. Some home comforts like Nando sauce, even in Pepito, and Vegemite for the Australians. But this can actually be a very big con for certain people. I know there'll be the people in the comments saying, oh my gosh, this is the last thing we want. Bali is very westernized. So yeah, if you want a more authentic Indonesian stay, then you're probably not going to get it in Bali. And with that comes a higher cost of living because there are Western prices.
For us, being from South Africa, the cost of living is definitely a con. We worked it out, it's at least $800 more expensive for us to live in Bali. But if you are coming from the US, the UK, Australia, you're going to find it a lot cheaper. It's just a con for us because we're not used to paying those kinds of prices for meals.
We're technically not from a Western country, we are from a third world country, South Africa, so we feel it a little more than people from the Western countries.
So that's it, guys. There's a ton of pros, there's a ton of cons, but we honestly would still continue to go back to Bali time after time. We absolutely love it. Yeah, there's pros and cons to everywhere you're going to live in the world. So you just have to be enlightened, and hopefully you found this insightful and you can gain some information and make more informed decisions from this video.
I would still recommend going to Bali any day of the week. I miss it when we were in Cape Town, and I miss Cape Town when we were in Bali. You know, Bali and Cape Town are both home. It's just, I love that place. I love the people. Please don't take any of the cons as complaining. We're just putting it all out on the table, and you can choose whatever you want to pick, and you know, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway!
Thank you guys for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.